All right, next part of factoring is difference of squares. Let me draw some on here. Let's start with a basic one. X squared minus 36 equals 0. Now, this is solving by factoring, but factoring is just the part you do before you solve it. Difference of squares states that when you have the difference of two perfect squares, x squared being x times x, 36 being 6 times 6, you can break them apart into their two binomial factors, the only difference between them being a plus and a minus. This works for any difference of two squares. Once you do that, you take them and set them both equal to 0 and solve. So whenever you're solving a difference of two squares, your answers will be two opposites. This one being 6, and this one being negative 6. Okay? That's really all there is to that one. So let me show you a couple examples. Let's see. Let's do another one. Let's choose a different letter. X is boring. Z squared minus, notice it's minus. If you ever see a plus, they're tricking you. You can't do sum of two squares. It's minus. Minus 121 equals 0. That's Z plus 11. And no, it doesn't matter if you do the plus or the minus first. Z minus 11 equals 0, dot, dot, dot. You know the rest. Set them both equal to 0 and solve. You have z equals positive and negative 11. Now, let's talk about some difference of squares when a is greater than 1, because this is still ax squared, not a squared, ax squared plus bx plus c. If you'll notice, bx squared is just 0, so it's not there. So let's talk about one where a is greater than 1, the number in front of x. 4x squared minus 25. This is still difference of two squares. It's just instead of having x minus 5 and x plus 5, it's 2x minus 5. 2x plus 5 equals 0. Set them both equal to 0 and solve. Now, when you're in Edgenuity, they might skip the steps in between and say plus 5, and divide by 2, which they should. We're getting to the point in math where we need to save our time for the more complex things, like breaking the factor apart. It should be assumed that when something appears on the other side of the equation with a different sign, like this 5 going negative to positive, that they added it. And that if 5 becomes 5 halves, they divide it. There's going to be less and less of the little bits from Algebra 1 as we progress more to Algebra 2. 2x plus 5 equals 0. 2x equals negative 5, so x also equals negative 5 halves. One answer, second answer. Now, do be wary of these. Sometimes they may have GCFs you need to pull out first. But yeah, let's do another one, and then we'll finish this one off. 9c minus... no, 81 would make the same thing. Let's do 16. 3c minus 4, 3c plus 4. So when I set them both equal to 0, I know c is going to be add 4 divided by 3, positive 4/3. And if you're rushing to write this down, you're trying to back up the video as you're doing this, no worries. I post all my videos to Canvas, and I'll also post my notes as well. So that's negative 4/3. And that's all there is to difference of squares.